Hello, welcome. Thanks for listening to another episode of The Hangry Mexican. I'm your host, Oscar Flores. Today's guest is a celebrity choreographer who has worked with big-name artists such as Jennifer Lopez, among others. He's a singer, actor, model, photographer. He's a jack of all trades, really, and he's one heck of a flamenco dancer who has just wowed the world. His dancing has taken him on so many adventures all around the globe. And he just recently released his first single called Breathe on Me. If you haven't listened to that, you can download it from the iTunes store. The one and only Timo Nunez joined me in the studio today, and we talk about a number of things, including his debut as a singer, his dancing, his collaboration with other artists, and him giving back to the community, paying it forward. All right, so let's get started, and I hope that you enjoy this interview as much as I did. So DJ, roll that music. Timo, yeah, thanks so much for joining me here on the podcast and driving out to Oxnard to talk about your life and your projects and what you're doing.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I think this is my first podcast, actually.
Oh, wow. Well, I hope it's not the last.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I know you just came out with your single.
Breathe on Me.
Breathe on Me.
It was out on iTunes on Wednesday, and now it's on Spotify and other platforms.
Yeah, well, I listened to it on Apple Music. And
cool.
Yeah, so I've been listening to it I think I listened to it 10 times already.
It's that's a good sign. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. It's a very, like sensual, very Latin lover kind of thing.
Yeah, it is kind of that, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the song, and then we'll talk about other things, of course, too. But
sweet.
But since that's the latest thing that you have going on, maybe you can talk to me a little bit about how that song came about.
Oh my God, I actually haven't told anyone publicly how this song came about. So, yeah, I guess it should happen at some point, right? Yeah. I wrote this song about, I think a little over a year ago now.
Oh, so you actually wrote the song?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. So now you're a songwriter then, too.
Apparently I am.
Resume check, bam.
It's one of those funny things, artists tend to do a lot of different things, and people have been saying lately, oh, wow, you're a triple threat. And then they look at what I've done and they're like, or 5 or 6 or 7 threat, however you would say those. So it's kind of funny. Like, I just love doing a lot of different things. So this has been my passion this year, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
Man, no, that's awesome. How long did it take you to write that song?
So the words I wrote myself. I started creating the song in the studio with actually one of my friends, Gerardo Morales, who is one of my flamenco musicians, because I'm a flamenco dancer. For those of you who don't know, that's what I do mostly. So Gerardo and I got into his space, and he pulled out the guitar, and we just kind of brainstormed about what we wanted the song to sound like. So I had some references and I had some melodies, and, we just kind of hung out and let it flow. And then at the end of that session, I recorded it with my phone. I took it home, listened to it a bunch, and started putting some lyrics down. And I wrote the song about a relationship. And at the time I was having a really hard time getting through that kind of heartbreak period. I'm a Pisces, so it can get kind of messy. So anyways, so I took the melody home and I started writing, and I didn't want it to be a sad song, because that wasn't going to help me process anything. I didn't feel. I had spent enough time being sad, so I wanted it to be a happy song. So basically I wrote about the happy memories from the relationship in a way to try to spin it for myself and, take the good out of what had happened with that person. So that's basically what I wrote the song about. I really sat and thought about all of the beautiful times that I had experienced, and I kind of put them in order and went back with Gerardo and kind of, just said what I had come up with, and it evolved, and we got together over and over again, and eventually we had a song. So,
oh wow!
And it ended up helping me so much get through that time. That was the point.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing about creating something. I've always been a fan of creating things, and now with a new job, I get a little bit more time to dedicate to other things that I want to focus on, and that creativity, when you really get into it, it really does get you through some really tough times sometimes.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that out of that came this really cool song, and I really want everybody to listen to this. So it's called Breathe on Me.
It is called Breathe on Me,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny to me because I don't know. I don't know that I would have chosen the title Breathe on Me for my first song. It's kind of weird, but after I wrote the lyrics and it ended up that the chorus was called Breathe on Me, it just had to be Breathe on Me. But now it's funny because, anyone who knows me knows that I'm kind of a big jokester, and like it just sounds so intense and like serious and like sexy, like Breathe on Me. Like it's almost funny, but it works for the song. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be working on an entire album?
Absolutely, yeah. I've already started writing the next 2 songs with Gerardo again because it worked so well the first time working together. We really enjoyed that process. So, yeah, we started song number 2 and number 3, and we have some ideas for the others, but one thing at a time. Right now what I'm really working on is getting the music video for song number 1 together. So I've done 2 days of shooting, and we have 1 day left. So hopefully that video will be complete within the next 3 weeks or so. Mm-hmm. We'll see. It depends on how fundraising goes. But
and actually, I like that you mentioned that now, because we can actually talk a little bit about that. I saw the Kickstarter campaign for the music video, and how much do you need to raise, and how much do you have now?
So it's funny. Actually, it's not funny at all. It's pretty stressful. I've raised just over 6,000, and I'm aiming for 25,000 on the Kickstarter. The reason I chose Kickstarter is because I had a very positive experience with Kickstarter back in 2012. I arranged a tribute concert at the Libero Theater for my grandmother who had passed away, and that was a flamenco concert. So back in that day, in 2012, Kickstarter was kind of new, and I was a really young and ambitious kid that wanted to do right by my grandma with this show. I really wanted it to be special. So I did one for 20,000, and we hit the goal. It was super last minute that we reached the goal, and it was very stressful again. It's always stressful because you don't know how it's going to go, if it's going to work out, or if people, aren't going to really spend the time to click on the link or really get into what it is that you're doing. So it was kind of like a Hail Mary, but it worked out. So because of that, I said, okay, we're going to try it again. It's been a few years. It's never fun to ask people for their money. It's not something I enjoy doing. But at the same time, I know, having worked with a lot of big artists in the industry, even the ones on top have investors and have people that help make those projects come to life. They don't fund those things on their own all the time sometimes, but not really. So I've had to let go of that guilt and just really push forward and pursue what I believe is good art and a good project. And in the process, hopefully inspire some of the younger people to see the projects that I'm making and dream big for themselves as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I admire about you, and I know a lot of other people admire about you, you pay it forward.
Thank you.
And so maybe you can talk to me a little bit about how you're doing that through the art of flamenco, which is what you're known for.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of go in a time machine and let's go back to the beginning.
Sure.
So here you are, like this kid from Santa Barbara.
Uh-huh.
How is it that you got into flamenco dancing to begin with?
Well, it was a different time back then. I'm 35 now, and I started dancing when I was 7. I started with ballet, and at the time, it was very unusual in the United States to have a young male dancer. I took a lot of flack at school. There was a lot of bullying going on. If you went to school with me and you're listening to this, you probably remember. So it was a tough thing to survive doing as a kid back then. I'm so happy that the times are changing and a lot of kids feel the freedom to be able to express themselves the way that they want to and not feel quite so in danger the way that I did.
Yeah, and I think you are part of the inspiration for many of these kids now. I've seen a lot. I grew up in Santa Barbara, born and raised, and I went to a lot of fiestas, a lot of all Spanish days celebrations, and there was. I never really saw any male dancers, but then now, just recently, from just recent memory, I've been seeing a lot more male dancers, even more trying out for spirit
and stuff,
and that's an amazing thing to see.
Right.
And everybody that I've talked to, they always mention your name.
Aw, that's
so
awesome.
So I think you're part of that, and I think that when you first started, like you said, you had this huge challenge because you had never it had never been done before, at least not to a point where you have taken it.
Right.
Did you do you at any point feel like you've been a pioneer in
I mean, it makes me feel great that you think I have. I don't really think of it that way. I suppose looking back, that is true, that I was, what I can say is that I really stuck to my guns, and there wasn't anyone or any situation that was going to keep me from dancing because I loved doing it so much. So yeah, I suppose so. There were other people too involved. I know when I was younger, Ryan Zermeño was the first junior spirit, and I think that he did a lot for the male dance community in Santa Barbara as well, as he still does. He's an amazing artist himself. And then some older generations, like Germán, he was with Ana Galindo and he was up there. So there were some, but I don't know. It's very rewarding to see the young people today look up to me the way they do. I mean, it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, and then now you're working with him, right? You're teaching classes now?
Yeah, I've been teaching classes privately, at least, since I was about 14. I started, I think my first spirit participant I taught when I was 14 years old. And my first junior spirit I had when I was maybe 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I've been teaching for a long time. I never opened a school. It's not something that I really wanted to do, just because I knew I also wanted to pursue other goals down in Los Angeles, and I was living there. And I didn't want to be up in Santa Barbara so consistently and be relied upon that way by the kids. So what I would do is I would recommend them to go to one of the other studios, and then I would teach them privately if that's what they wanted to do.
Wow. No, that's really cool, because like I said, I think you have taken this to a whole new level. You were in I know you've worked with Jennifer Lopez and Selena Gomez and other well-known artists.
Right.
So how did that come about? How did you go from dancing in Santa Barbara to all of a sudden working with these well-known, artists?
When I was in high school, Jennifer Lopez had just put out a song called Ain't It Funny? And she did like a gypsy flamenco music video. And I remember when that happened, I was just starting to get a little older and starting to sort of look like a grown-up person. Not quite, but kind of. And I saw that video and I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. There is a place for me in that industry. And mind you, what I didn't consider is that jobs for flamenco dancers come like once every 7 years. There's like one music video for a flamenco dancer. But I charged full speed ahead. And I was at Santa Barbara High School. Go Dons.
Yeah. I went there too.
Yeah, the whole fam. Anyways, so I was at Santa Barbara High, and my mom was there for some reason, probably getting me out of trouble at the attendance office or something. And she saw a flyer in the main hall, and it was for the LA Music Center Spotlight Awards. And she grabbed it and she said, Timo, you should do this. And I was like, ugh. I was so not into school. I was just like a frustrated artistic kid that wanted to be performing and doing TV and doing all that kind of stuff. So I was at anything school. I was like, I'm just showing up, right? Don't listen, kids. That's not a good example, but that's what I did. And so anyway, she grabbed it and she called, and I ended up winning this scholarship competition. Like 3 months later, we went through rounds and rounds and rounds against all of the kids in the Southern California area. And I didn't even realize it was such a prestigious award. But the judges for me that night were Julie McDonald, Kenny Ortega, and Tony Basil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I'm up there and I win this thing. It's cool because it's just fun to win anything. But I didn't realize that night was going to start my career. And sure enough, a week later, I signed to Julie McDonald's agency, MSA, and I've been with them ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that night, when you looked at the judges, did you have any idea who these folks were?
I had no idea.
Oh, man.
Someone told me that one of them was the girl who's saying, hey, Mickey, you're so fine. And I kind of looked down, and I was young back then. I didn't know about 80s videos. I didn't really. But then later I put it together. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But it was cool. It was a great time. It was an exciting time. So that's when I decided that I wanted to really pursue that industry.
Oh, but what year was this?
2002.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So it's not that long ago.
I mean,
it feels like it, I guess, but
it depends. It depends what you're asking.
Well, so since 2002 to basically now to 2019, you've been dancing professionally with an agency. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah. So I book a lot of my own work on my own because I have long-standing relationships with the flamenco community that existed far before I even signed with them. I've been dancing professionally as a flamenco dancer since I was 12. So I did a show with Debbie Allen when I was 12 at the Kennedy Center, and she's a friend of mine, so I don't do those jobs through my agency because it's a personal relationship. But if it's a movie or a commercial or a music video or something industry related where my agent gets a breakdown and they say Timo would be perfect for this, I would do that stuff through my agency.
So then with the singing, did you know early on as well that you wanted to sing at some point in your life, or when did that kind of that switch flip on?
So I loved musical theater ever since I was a kid. I did some civic light opera work. I always loved being on stage and acting and being a ham and all of that. But I kind of put all that on hold through the high school years, through the college years too. I really didn't actually start pursuing singing until I made this song. I think what happens sometimes is you get into this comfortable place with what you've decided your career is going to be, and anything outside of that seems a little bit like risky or not something you should really shift your attention toward, because you should stay in your lane and do what you're good at, And so I think I did that with flamenco for a long time, but I had this like kind of quiet secret desire all that time to be a singer, but I just kind of kept it quiet, I think. And then what happened was a dream of mine came true that I just told you about when I was in high school. I saw this J-Lo video with the flamenco in it, and I said I want to work with her at that point. Well, cut to maybe 15 years later, here I am submitting a video to her team, and I got selected to choreograph for her Las Vegas show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that dream came true just like a long time later. And while I was working on that show, I became good friends with her vocal coach, Stevie Mackey, who's a legend, a very young legend, but he's a legend.
Yeah.
And so when I became friends with him, I remember one night we were just in the hotel room, like getting ready for one of the shows. And he just kind of dared me to sing in his presence, which was super intimidating because it's freaking Stevie Mackey. You know, I don't want to just like start singing in front of Stevie Mackey. But he definitely was just like, you know, people make way too big a deal about singing. It's just singing. It's like, if you can imagine the way someone else sounds and you know how to imitate that sound when you're in the shower in a funny, joking kind of way, and you can kind of do it, you can probably sing. And I was like, wow, that's like, you're making it seem way more mellow than I've been making it out to be. So I kind of just like hummed and very meekishly sang in front of him. And he was like, you have a nice voice. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then time passed, and you know, this whole thing happened with this relationship, yada, yada. And finally, like, I was in a really sad place, and I just said, so many times dance has been the thing that has pulled me out of a dark place. And I've used dance and I've relied on dance for so many years, and I'm grateful for having that. But I needed something new. I needed something different that was going to affect me in a bigger way, you know, rather than just what I had been doing my whole life. I needed a change. So I hit up Stevie and I said, hey, would you help me? I want to take some classes, and I want to write a song. And he was like, sure. He's my friend. He said, sure. But it wasn't really that serious. And then after we wrote the song, I came to him with it and I said, this is what I've been working on. What do you think? And I was in New York at the time. Actually, we were rehearsing with Jennifer at that point. And he heard it and he was like, I need to produce this song. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I love this. I can totally imagine what you're doing now. Now that you've presented it, now that you've written it, now that there's a melody and there's a concept, I understand what your brand is and I understand what you want to be doing here. Let me vocally produce this song. And I was like, let you? Are you crazy? This is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And then the rest is history.
I mean, after a lot of hard work and recording sessions and, you know, mixing and mastering, and it took a lot of time. But yes, the rest is history. And here we are. I have my first single available on all platforms. So it's pretty awesome.
So you said you had to take vocal lessons, classes to kind of hone the skill of singing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I could take plenty more. There's plenty more to hone.
Oh man, what would you say was the most difficult part of, those vocal classes, and the most difficult thing to learn about them?
I think that dancers have this, this strength and this weakness all at the same time of wanting to be perfect and wanting to, you know, get approval from the teacher, or, you know, like I remember in ballet class, like if you didn't get criticisms from the teacher, you weren't happy because you want them to pay attention to you and you want them to fix every little thing so that you will be perfect in this position or whatever. And so I think when you try to learn a new skill, sometimes you're just too overly aware of everything you're doing instead of just like chilling out and singing. You know, so I think that was the hardest part, was to just like let go and believe in what I was doing and not need constant like affirmation. Because I remember I was studying it, and I would stop and I would like ask him. I'd be like, "Was that okay?" Like all the time, and he's like, "Yes, just keep singing." So it was a learning experience for me too. You know, not just the singing part, but like calming down part, believing in yourself part. You know.
Wow. Yeah. I ask these questions because I don't sing, but I've always been curious, because Bradley Cooper, for example, he did the movie Star is Born with Lady Gaga.
Sure.
Now, Lady Gaga, she's a superstar. She'd already had the singing nailed.
Yeah.
But then Bradley Cooper, I never knew that he sung, but then I heard that he actually took some lessons, some classes to, kind of hone those skills. And I guess being an actor helps too to calm himself down. But I saw the movie and I was, wow, that really is Bradley Cooper.
His voice is amazing. And I think also what we loved about his performance was probably the fact that it had such a raw sound. It didn't sound perfect or polished, but that's what made it so good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed very natural and fresh and new.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. So Bradley Cooper in that movie was amazing, and then the storyline too. I mean, it was just I was not expecting what I saw.
But that was sad, man.
Yeah,
it was so sad.
I know. I was not expecting it.
No. Like everyone left that theater really unhappy.
Oh man, yeah. But I'm so glad
he should have written a song.
Yes, he should have. But I'm so glad that he actually performed live, at the Oscars with Lady Gaga. I mean, that was
crazy.
That was amazing. Yeah, and even it's amazing how that one song kind of just it just exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know this since I don't do music or anything, but how hard was it do you think, to select this song, in your case, Breathe on Me, as a single, versus maybe deciding, oh, you know what, I'm probably going to write another song or two more and maybe release those as my first single?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, what was going through your mind at that time? Like, oh, should I release this or not as the first single? What was the pressure like there?
Well, honestly, like at the time of writing it, I didn't even necessarily know that I was going to release it. Like for me, it was more the experience and the process of creating it. And I think because of that, there was no pressure to be too perfect about it. You know what I mean? Eventually, yes. Once I knew that it was going to be something I was pursuing, it became a little bit more pressure to really make it great. But I also felt like it flowed in such a natural way. Like, I really love my song. I'm not going to lie. I love my song. And it's a special song to me. And I love that people get it stuck in their heads. So many people have said to me, it's been stuck in my head all day long. That song is so catchy.
Yeah, for anybody listening to this, we got little Sandy coming up. And
Sandy wants to sing too. He's like on my lap right now.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so I think for me, it was just kind of, there was never a question. Like once I knew what the song was and how it was sounding and how much I loved it, like I didn't even consider waiting on it. It was like, no. But what I did consider was you need to have other songs ready next because, you got to have them lined up. You can't just have one song.
Yeah. Well, how was the pressure on writing those other songs like?
It's a little different. It is. I won't lie. It's a little different because, like I said, the first one flowed so easily that now I feel like the other two need to be just as good or better, And so I need to stop thinking that way so it'll continue to flow.
Yeah. And well, how do you get in the right state of mind to even attempt writing other songs? Is there something you do, like get a boat and go out in the middle of the ocean and just kind of relax? Or
I actually went to the beach the other day and sat with my notebook. That's a good point. I did do that. I also find, like, for me, I don't really want to sing about things that don't matter to me, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I would if someone just said, like, there's this really catchy song, your voice would sound great on it, hear the words, learn it. I would totally do that for the sake of the experience of putting out the song. But as far as writing a song, no, like, I have to be inspired by the situation. Sandy's got some long eyelashes.
Oh yeah, no, he's a lady killer. Yeah, for sure. Everybody loved him. Yesterday, we went out to Santa Monica, and we visited the Apple store. Yeah, because actually, I wasn't kidding when I put out the Insta story that about those. Why I bought those headphones. Yeah. Because my wife was actually the one. Hey, have you listened to Timo Nunez's new single? And I said, no. Where can I find it? She said, Apple Music. So I went there, and then I was trying to listen to it on my phone, but I was having such a hard time because the phone's speakers are not the best to listen to.
Sure.
So I was like, we're in Santa Monica. I know there's an Apple store nearby. Let's just go and grab me some pair of headphones. And
that's so funny.
and I can. I needed a pair of headphones anyway to do other things. But I was like, that's.
You're like,
that's
this is a nice shout out for Timo. You got my back. That was cool. No, I love seeing stuff like that. I've been so touched by the outpour of just support from the community, and it's so special to be from Santa Barbara, you know what I mean? Just because I've gone out to other places in the world, and I do live in Los Angeles, but I know that when I do something like this, I have to go home to do it, and I get to go home to do it because it's such a different energy. I had 5 dancers who helped perform in my music video on Wednesday that we shot at the Sunken Gardens at the courthouse. And they're all from LA. They all live there. They're industry dancers who dance with the best stars in the music industry. And they agreed to do this with me, which was amazing. It totally elevated my project to an amazing level. But we're up in Santa Barbara, and they looked at me and they were like, who are these people that are here for you? And I was like, this is my home. This is my community, so, cause I had a whole bunch of kids, like flamenco dancer kids, students that are supported from all different studios in town, not just one, they just came out because they're excited, and their parents and their families. And I had a crowd there. So when we shot the music video, it looked like I had a concert, like a summertime evening concert. And my cast was just blown away. They were just like, this is such a cool place where you come from. I was like, I know. And it's interesting because when you're growing up here and you've never left, it's just home. You don't realize that what we have is something so special until you leave. And yeah, every time I come home now and I see that, I'm like, my gosh, I am so lucky.
Yeah. I'm so happy you mentioned that, because that was actually curiosity of mine. How do you feel Santa Barbara shaped the type of person that you are now versus if you lived elsewhere, since you said you visited other places? How has Santa Barbara shaped the person that you are today?
Mm-hmm. I'm one of those people who tries to see the good in everyone. That's just the way I am. So I don't know that one thing is better than any other thing, but one thing that I do cherish is like, compared to living in a big city where I live now, there's just something different about people who come from a smaller place. And it's not better or worse, but it's different. And I think coming from Santa Barbara, we have that thing, you know what I mean? And it might be just having that characteristic of wanting to stop and talk to someone about their day, or something so simple as, asking how your family's doing, instead of just like business, go, go, go. I've had to adapt to that as well, because I am really trying to push this, but I don't know. I think we have something really special here in Santa Barbara. So I'm proud. I'm very proud of that.
No, that's awesome. That's why I was so glad that I was able to get a job in Los Angeles, because it's so close to Santa Barbara. It's an easy drive. In fact, the first week and a half that I started working in LA, I had to drive from LA to Santa Barbara and back and forth. So that required me to fill up the gas tank every other day. Mm-hmm. But I was so happy to do it, and when I got back to Santa Barbara, I was always like, oh, now I'm home.
Sure.
And even now, now that I'm in the Oxnard, at least for now, and even working in LA, I love that now I get to share my experience, my upbringing of how Santa Barbara raised me, and bringing that experience to a whole new community.
For sure.
And I think you're totally right. You nailed it when you said that you're coming from a smaller town. You kind of learn to, say hi to people, look at them in the eye, and say, hey, how's your day going?
Right.
And so that translates to anything that you do.
Right.
And I think I like to think that that's probably one of the biggest things that has propelled you in your career, because nobody wants to work with somebody that's a diva. A diva is so difficult.
Right.
But I think through it all, you've stayed pretty humble.
I mean, I hope so. Listen, I'm not perfect at all. I definitely look back at moments in my career where I cringe because maybe I didn't represent myself in the best way or in the most mature or kind way. Like, I've definitely had my diva moments over the years, like, unfortunately. But I think anytime that's happened, I've really, really not been proud, and I've tried to correct it.
Oh, same here. And,
Mm-hmm.
That's a funny thing about getting older. You kind of realize some of the things that you've done in the past as mistakes. But I like to see it as, if you hadn't made those types of mistakes, or those types of created those types of negative situations, then you wouldn't have learned from them to a point where now you're more humble about them. And
absolutely.
So
I mean, everyone has to go through their phases to arrive at a better place. Now I feel like I'm able to help younger people. Like there was a student the other day at a show that I was at, and the student was about to do something that I didn't think was the best choice. And I tried to just kind of guide that person to think about it, because I could totally see myself doing the same thing when I was that age, and then starting a problem, and then someone not thinking I was professional or whatever it was. So I took her aside and I said, it's totally up to you, but if I were you, I would think this through, because you're getting older now. And if you want to be seen seriously as a professional, this is not going to be okay. And you're going to create a bad name for yourself, And I think she heard me. So to me, that was really rewarding. And it has nothing to do with that being like a disrespectful or bad kid. It was just, you're a kid. You're a kid still. And so you want to go to the party, or you want to not show up, or you want to just do what you want to do. I've been there. I get it, But it's important to have someone who's been through it, who can kind of clue you in.
Yeah. When you were in Santa Barbara and you were dancing, and then you kind of went on to bigger things. At what point did you realize, oh, I made it?
Made it.
Yeah.
I still haven't made it.
Perfect.
But thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, Yeah, I guess it's yeah, we're always, learning from something.
Right.
Always constantly learning, but yeah, I mean, at some point you must have realized that you're no longer in little Santa Barbara. Right? You've blown up to go on to I know you've modeled before, singing now, dancing in big stages. When did you realize that this
Making
is something
me feel
else?
like a little star over here.
Well, you're definitely a star. But yeah, coming from that small town mentality in a way, when did you just realize that now it's no longer Santa Barbara, now it's no longer small town, now I'm doing something bigger?
I knew that I wanted to aim for goals outside of the local ones when I was maybe like 17 years old. I started traveling to Los Angeles. My amazing mother started driving me to Hollywood twice a week, every Monday and Wednesday, to study with the acting coach Janet Alhanti, who is from the Bronx, and she is the boss. So that was a big priority. I started doing that when I was 15, and I couldn't drive yet, so mom was still driving, right? And then eventually, maybe when I was like 16, maybe 17, I started doing that trip by myself, and I ended up studying with Janet for 15 years. But around that time, that's when I was in class with Ashley Simpson and Jessica and people who my peers who had kind of made it in my eyes, So I knew that if I didn't expect the same of myself, that nothing was going to happen. And that's one thing I don't know where that really came from within myself. That's one of those mysteries to me, is I've always kind of had a really high expectation for what I feel I can do. That doesn't mean that I've always felt like I could do it. Like, I definitely had those little moments where the demons come in and tell you that you're not good enough, for sure. Definitely. I still have those sometimes. But I have to just, go with what I want to do. We have one life. This is the one that I have. I mean, as far as I know, we might have more. But I'm going to do what I want to do with my time. And if I think that I should be the star of that movie, I'm going to try to be the star of that movie. If I think I can be on a stage in an arena with thousands of people singing my song, I'm going to make the song and I'm going to try to be in that arena. And it might not happen, but it's definitely not going to happen if I don't do what I'm doing.
So if you could go back in time with the knowledge that you have now.
Yes.
What
many things.
Yeah. Name like three things you would tell young Timo Nunez to kind of make it easier.
For sure. Can I cuss?
Sure, yeah.
Shut the up and believe in yourself, first of all, because it's like you are your biggest barricade. You just gotta go. Just do it, because what you think is not good enough is only visible to others because you're thinking it's not good enough. But, there are those people who never question anything about what they're doing, and the whole world just rides along. They're like, yeah, he knows, Mm-hmm. It's good to be aware. And I don't want to say that people should just like be unaware and not care what the world thinks, because you have to be sensitive sometimes. You don't want to be a bulldozer. But, let the small shit go. Like, it's not all about looking perfect or being attractive enough or all that kind of stuff. That's a hang up. That's a big, big hang up, and it slows you down.
Is that something that you've been noticing and passing along also to the kids that you've been teaching?
I try. Yeah. I try to give them the tools to believe in themselves, and to find the beauty in whatever it is that they are, or whatever skills that they have, or whatever hair that they have, or whatever body shape that they have. there's room for everyone. And I think that it's a really important time actually right now, in media and in fashion and in music, that's celebrating all of that. Finally, it took forever. Not everyone has to look like J-Lo.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about.
Yeah, she looks way too good.
I mean, it's beautiful. Like I said, there's room for everyone. So there's room for J-Lo, but there's also room for the slightly overweight kid with pimples on his face who's singing about something really important. Like, there's room for everyone.
You flamenco, I think, has taken you. It has really like blown the doors wide open for you to kind of do, well, in a way, branch out to other things. Like the singing, but then also the modeling.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about the modeling, but also how you got to be on this show with J-Lo. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So you pick and choose which one you want to talk about first, because the modeling, I just kind of want to know how you went from dancing flamenco to then doing some modeling on the side.
Well, flamenco I would consider to be one of my biggest gifts, unexpected gifts. It's just like, it took me to places that I would never have been able to go had I not had it in my life. So that includes modeling. I was fortunate enough in 2014 to be on the cover of Vogue Italia, and I was the choreographer of that photo shoot. So Steven Meisel flew me to New York, actually stole me away from the San Francisco Opera. I was performing in La Traviata. And I had to get like special permission to leave in the middle of our dress rehearsal. It was a big scandal, but I just begged. I said, this is Steven Meisel. Like, I need to go to New York. I was there for 2 days, and they told me they might throw me in a shot or two, but I was really hired as a choreographer.
Wow.
Because the supermodel Isabelle Fontana, Brazilian woman, it was her big moment where she was doing the cover of Italian Vogue, and they needed her to look like an authentic flamenco dancer as much as possible. So I went there and I posed her and I gave her the tools and I made sure that she felt comfortable and everything. And then out of the blue, they go, Timo, can you throw on your black pants and slick your hair back? And I was like, wow, oh my God, this is actually maybe going to happen. Shut up, Timo. Just do it. Shut up. So I did. I got ready. They threw me in some shots. And then the next day we kept shooting, and they had me get dressed from the moment I walked in the door. I was like, wow, they're really putting me in this shoot. And they did a mock-up on day 2 of what the cover was going to look like. And Pat McGrath, the makeup artist, she's a super famous makeup artist. She comes up to me and she goes, Timo, I think you got the cover. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, look, darling, I think you got the cover. And I was like, oh my God. So I just shut up. And I know after being in the business this long, I know not to get excited until you see it.
Yeah.
Until it's on the magazine stands, you have no idea what's going to come out. So I just tried to stay calm. But then it came out in August, and next thing you know, it's like I'm talking to the head of the modeling agencies at LA Models, and they're signing me to Paris and London and everywhere, New York, so it was really exciting. I had always wanted to model, but flamenco is really what got me there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
Well, and then I also know that you do photography.
Yeah.
So then how did that come about?
And you're like a photography and
a jack of all trades. Yeah.
How did that come about? Well, I think it had a lot to do with the work that I had done as a model, being in front of the camera. Also, I had worked as a fashion stylist assistant. So I had worked on campaigns like BB and Michael Starr and some fashion magazines down in Los Angeles as well. So I just remembered being around the team and picked up on a lot of the tricks and the key elements of doing a photo shoot. So there was one summer where business was really slow and I wasn't really making it. and I needed to pay my bills, and I was just racking my brain. I was like, what can I do for some extra cash? And I thought to myself, like, well, you took those pictures of your student last year in her flamenco costume, and everyone loves that picture. Why don't you just get her and one other girl together and just go down and do like a little photo shoot. Tell them to get their makeup done at Nordstrom at the mat counter and to bring some costumes, and you'll just take some pictures. So I did. And I thought about it. I was like, you should sell these photo shoots, make them reasonably priced, and just try to line them up one after the next. And that's what I did. And those photo shoots kept me afloat for like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was awesome. Like I would style it. I did a lot of the designing of the costumes, and I did the hair and the makeup sometimes. And it was awesome. I still do it once in a while, but it's pretty time consuming. So I don't really have the time to do it right now.
Wow. Well, they're amazing pictures.
Thank you.
And yeah, that it almost seems like everything you do it so well. But I'm sure I'm sure it takes the dedication, the love for it to get to that point. It's not like you just kind of wake up one day and then you say, oh, I'm going to do this, but I'm not really that into it. So whatever comes out of it.
I think that's what's gotten me into trouble in my life, because, I'd probably have more security financially if I would just do something that I wasn't passionate about, but I can't. Like, I can a little bit, but not really. Like, I need to be doing what I love to do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's gonna, what's that saying about if you love what you do, it's not work.
Right.
I feel the same way. I love what I do so much and I love being in the media and the digital world that, anything I do that's creative, it comes out, I think, across in the quality of the product, because I just kind of pour my heart and soul into it.
Right.
Because I love that medium so much.
Yeah.
And so I think you're the same way.
Mm-hmm. And it's just natural. It comes naturally.
Yeah. Because you wouldn't do something, well, other than maybe a job that pays, like one of the
sure
office jobs or whatever. But I think any project that you tackle on, I'm assuming that you probably just do it with heart and passion every time, because otherwise you wouldn't be tackling on these other projects.
Right.
And then how did you end up in the show with J-Lo? So let's talk a little bit about that, because that was impressive. You made it through several rounds.
I did.
Yep.
We did. I had a group of 3 incredibly talented dancers that traveled across the country to be a part of that show with me, and it was an amazing experience. We created a lot of beautiful stuff together. So I got that show. How did it happen? After I worked on All I Have, Jennifer's Vegas residency, I got a random call from someone who was working on the first season of World of Dance. And they just said, hi, Timo, my name's so-and-so. I got your phone number from Jennifer Lopez, and we've been casting for World of Dance. And Jennifer feels like there's an element missing from the cast so far. And so we were at a meeting, and she threw your name out. She said, let's try to get Timo to do some flamenco on the show. And so I was very excited, because Jennifer is a great person to work for. Like, it's always going to be a good project. It's always going to be exciting. She's such a hard worker, so her expectation for excellence is always there. And she gets a lot out of people.
Do you still get nervous when you have to work with J-Lo or have to be part of a project where she has some kind of say in it?
No, I don't think so. At this point, it's more, I feel like Jennifer is comfortable with the caliber of work that I do. And so...
yeah, I'm telling you, those cars are getting louder every day.
Luckily, I feel confident because she's affirmed me enough times, and she's very respectful to me as a choreographer. So I know that when we collaborate together, I consider it to be a collaboration because she's very hands-on and she knows what she likes. But by now I kind of get a sense of what she likes, so I know how to build for her body and for her as a dancer and a performer. So it's always a pleasure working with her.
So then you show up for the day one of the recording of the show, and then how was that like?
Well, it was exhilarating, so much fun. My favorite thing to do is to be on stage, and especially when I know there's going to be like 11 million people watching. That's fun. I'm not going to lie. It's fun. And it's especially fun when you're like front center of this stage and just 20 feet across from you is Jennifer Lopez looking beautiful, just staring at your performance. It's different than being in a studio with her and creating for her because it's about her.
Yeah.
And now it's like an opportunity for me to show my stuff in front of someone who I have so much respect for. So that was exciting, really exciting. I remember the first episode was the most exciting because I kind of felt like I couldn't wait for them to let me out of the gates. Like I just wanted to go on that stage. And sure enough, when I got on that stage, I remember there was one moment where I gave her like this look. I think I dropped down to my knee or something, and I gave her this look. And inside I was telling myself, Timo, just kill her with your look. Just kill her with it. And she looked back at me when I gave her that look, and she gave me the look back, and she was just like shaking her head like, boy, you know what you're doing to me right now. And I was like, yes, I got it. It was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man,
moments that I will remember, for the rest of my life.
No, that's good. I mean, you have such a great body of work now. I mean, you've done so much. Is there something that you haven't done that you kind of want to?
Yes, there's so much I still want to do. You crazy? I want to. Well, the first thing that sticks out is obviously I'm working on the music, and that's going to happen. I'm going to work on it till it does. And it's happening, so great. But I totally have always wanted to have a great role in a film. I would love to do stage work as well, but I love film. And I've always felt like I belong in film. So I don't know if it'll be at this age or if it'll be when I'm older, but acting is a craft that only gets better with age, and I'm not going to stress about like beating the clock on that.
That's really good. When did you start getting that point of view? Because I think that's really important what you just said. I think a lot of people stress so much about having it now,
right?
Making it now.
Yeah.
They don't stand for the patience.
Right.
So, yeah, where did that come from? That point of view.
I think through my training, through the knowledge that I gained from Janet Alhanti in my acting classes. When I was around her, I just had so much respect for her life experience and the culture that she had acquired over the years, that I just realized that, I had entered that class just wanting to be famous. And I remember feeling really like guilty about that when I was a kid. I was like, oh my God, I'm so shallow. I really just want to be famous here. But I mean, you don't survive her class if that's your mentality. You'll literally get kicked out. Bye.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it was actually a really important experience for me. As I mentioned earlier, school was not my thing. But this was the first time that I had been in a class that wasn't a physical movement class, like dance, that I cared about. I cared about the information she was telling us. I cared about the history of the scripts that she was teaching us. And she just had this way of igniting my interest. And that was something, I think that's when I learned that, people learn in very different ways. And whereas before I might have thought that I was not intelligent or that I just sucked at learning, she gave me the confidence to believe in my own mind and to think that there was more in there than I had thought.
Was your mom I mean, did she have a clear vision when she saw you struggling in school as to what she had to do to spark your interest and make you, I guess, a better person, if you will? that since the school thing wasn't, all that it could be.
Right.
Was she really, keen to that, or did you have to vocalize to your parents, hey, I need to be doing something else because I'm not cutting it in school?
I definitely vocalized it. I don't think that I had the maturity to explain it quite like that. I think I probably, if I had to be honest, I probably just sounded a little bit spoiled and naggy. I probably sounded more like, ugh, I hate school. And can't I just act? I told you I want to go to LA. I want to be in acting classes. It probably sounded like that. But, what I will say is that I have very loving parents, and they were able to translate that from teenage language into, okay, we need to do something different for him. And that was really special. My parents were both school teachers, and I do not come from money, and they still made so many sacrifices to make sure that I was able to get that class that I needed. That was really good for me, Mm-hmm. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
And it was interesting too, because neither of my parents were artists. So I think it was different for them. It was foreign to them to have a kid that was so artistic,
Yeah.
Yeah. All of my uncles were football players and super athletes and stuff. And yeah, I think they were kind of like, uh-oh, what do we do with this one?
But now that they've seen what you've done and what you've become, what do they tell you? What is their attitude, I guess, in a way, towards what they see you have accomplished? In a way, because of the things that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do they tell you after seeing all the success you've had?
They are so incredibly supportive, especially, I'm going to say it, as they've gotten older, they've calmed down a little bit. So, they are really, really pretty easy on me, I got to say. And when I'm stressing out or I might be facing challenges with my process, they're really there for me. I gotta say, I'm really lucky when it comes to that. They tell me that they're proud of me. They tell me that I don't need to stress so much and that it's gonna all work out. That kind of stuff. It's really nice to have that.
Yeah. No, I totally feel you on that. It's nice to hear those words from people that mean so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I say we, I mean myself and my parents, we've all kind of passed through that strange, young adult phase of raising a young adult still.
Yeah.
And I think that they accept me for my process, and they let me have that space, which is great. When I was younger, it was kind of like, you should do this. Why aren't you doing this? Which is normal. It's normal and it's natural.
Yeah. Well, I still kind of get that from my mom when it comes to food. Sometimes I put these pictures of it's food pictures on my Instagram, and she just recently started getting the Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And she follows me on there, and
sure.
She sees these food pictures, and sometimes it's these elaborate plates, something that she's never seen before, but she assumes that these are like, greasy. Sometimes they are.
Sure.
Sometimes it's comfort food. What are you gonna do?
Of course.
But, and so yeah, sometimes I get the call every now and then saying, "Hey, why are you eating this junk?" And
Right.
you should be eating this, or you should be doing this. I'm like, yes, Mom. Yeah, okay.
I get that when it comes to like doing something dangerous. If they think it's like dangerous. My dad, not so much. My mom, yeah. It's like if I'm somewhere jumping off a giant rock into the water, she's gonna be like on alert.
Man,
it's very funny to me because I'm like, come on, it's fine. I am fine. It's all gonna be fine.
The parents will never stop being parents.
Yeah, for sure.
But you've been all over the world.
Yeah.
Has there been, not counting Santa Barbara, of course, but has there been a place that you've visited that you've connected more with on an emotional level than the other places you've gone to?
I'm going to have to go with Sevilla just because of what I do. Sevilla in Spain. I did my first big trip like as a young adult in Sevilla. I did a study abroad when I was in college. Went with my friend Erica Guajardo, and we actually trained her for the spirit contest. She came back and she won it.
Wow.
That was fun. So we have that young, exciting memory of like just graduating high school, being young and being in Europe, so Sevilla is a very special place to me. Wow. But I mean, aside from that, I'm kind of one of these people where when I go somewhere new, I kind of always make an emotional connection with that place and try to see what is unique to that place. A couple other places that really stand out to me are Abu Dhabi. I had like a beautiful experience after one of the shows that I did. I performed for the royal family at the first International Middle Eastern Film Festival. Wow. And after that show, we had a day in the desert where we got to do like a camel ride and, those buggies where there's like Range Rovers, like going down the sand dunes and stuff. It was crazy. I felt like I was in Aladdin or something. And at one point in the evening, we had this incredible spread of food and dancers everywhere. And it was a fantasy. It was a total like magical, unreal world. And each person got to take a ride on the camel, like kind of away from the group. And it was just with the camel and the guy who's walking the camel. It was actually like the most beautiful experience because I remember being on this camel, looking up into the sky. There's a full moon right over. And, the horizon just looks like these peaks of sand dunes with the sky in silhouette. And
wow,
you're legit in Aladdin. And like you're legit in Aladdin going to find the Cave of Wonder. And that was beautiful. Like how can you not connect emotion or spiritually or emotionally to a place like that or a moment like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's something you definitely don't get in the big city.
No, you don't. And that's actually the one thing that kind of drives me crazy every time I get to have an experience like that is like I always wish that I could like bring my parents along. But most of the time when I travel, unlike most people who travel, they travel because they take a vacation. I travel for work. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like an opportunity to share it with family or friends, And I'm a sharer. I like doing things with people.
Do you think you'd ever bring your parents on one of the work trips?
Oh, I plan to. But for me, what that looks like is, once I've reached a level of success where I'm not doing Kickstarter projects, where I can just bring them with me. And it's my show or it's my project, and I get to say, you guys, I'm flying you to Amsterdam, whatever it is, Ireland, wherever we go. I just want to be able to take care of it for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one thing that's tough about being an artist at this age is it's like we don't have the security unless we've made it super far. We don't have the security of someone who's not an artist. We don't have benefits. We don't have anything like that unless you're making it big, So, but I don't feel like I have another choice. I feel like this is the path that I've chosen, and I love this path. And I'm wealthy in many other ways from life experiences and the freedom to be able to be an artist. Like a lot of people wish they had that. So I'm going with it.
So let's come back full circle to now you're doing this Kickstarter campaign. Let's talk a little bit about just the Kickstarter campaign itself. I know there's different tiers of rewards you get according to what you want to donate towards the project. But where, first of all, where can people find this Kickstarter campaign?
Okay. Well, you can find the Kickstarter campaign on a few different places. If you follow me on Facebook, it's blasted all over my Facebook. And I have a few different Facebooks, and it's on all of them. So fear not, you will find it. Also, everything that I'm doing right now is on my website. And that's Timo Nunez Pasión with 1S.com. And there you'll find my Kickstarter. You'll find my single Breathe On Me that is on the front page, and you can listen to it on the web page, or you can be directed to the platforms to download it or stream it or whatever you want to do. And then you can read about me. There's my bio there and some links to my YouTube channel. It's all there.
Cool. So once you get into the Kickstarter page, what do people see at this page?
All right. Well, it depends. If you go on your phone, you kind of have to navigate around a little more. If you do it on your laptop, it's all on the front page and you can just scroll up and down and it's a lot easier. But on the phone, there's 4 pages, so you kind of have to flip between them to discover what it is you're looking for. So one of the pages would describe the project and the mission of the project. Another page would describe the gifts you receive if you donate to the project. Another one would be the video, so you can watch the video about the song and the making of it and actually hear me talk and kind of get to know me a little bit better through that video. So you kind of just bounce around. But as far as what I'm trying to do here is I'm a big believer in giving back and appreciating when people have helped me. So one of the ways that I can do that is through the gift section. And obviously some of the gifts might not equal the amounts being donated, but unfortunately all I have to give is myself, and all I have to give is my art. So I've offered certain things like coming to your summertime party and performing for your guests, or I've offered private flamenco classes, or I've offered a photo shoot or a costume designed by me, if you're into flamenco and that kind of stuff. But if you're not into flamenco or you don't want to dance or do anything like that, probably the best option is that I would make an appearance at your party and, do a question and answer with your guests and get to know everyone and just have a good time.
Yeah. And I think those gifts are really, things that have developed with the many talents, the many projects that you've done. They've all, I guess, in a way, come full circle to then help you with this project of creating this music video, like you said.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that was actually a challenging part when you fill out the Kickstarter and getting it set up and stuff. They say, what are the gifts? And I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean?
It's so crazy how that works. You've done so many things that involve talents that you can offer, but then in the moment you're like, oh, I don't know what I can offer.
Right. Totally. Because the things that I do they're just things that I do. I don't think of them as something that you're going to want me to do for you. But then when I started mentioning ideas like this, the people who were helping me make it were like, yes, that's great. That's great. I was like, oh, it is? Cool. Awesome. So hopefully you guys think it's great.
So what is the goal to get to?
So the goal is, there's also a page for the goal, and for some stretch goals. What I've posted on the Kickstarter is $25,000 as the minimum to complete this music video. But it's a way to complete the music video not at its full potential, but still at a potential that would be good. You'll find the page that talks about stretch goals. So if we make more than 25,000, it breaks down what that money would go to, such as having more dancers as backup dancers, or having better costumes, or being able to fund the making of the next 2 songs and 1 more music video. This journey, until you really have the support of a record label or something like that, it's me. So I don't want to be personally, I don't want to be doing Kickstarters every 3 months. Like it's a lot of work, and it's kind of, I don't know, I just don't want to be the guy like, here's his next Kickstarter, you know what I mean? So like, I want to get as much out of this one as I can, so that it can kind of set me up to try to get a nice kickstart. that was really good. Jump start into, this next phase of my career. Because I think if I put out like at least 3 songs, then it's going to grab the attention of the people that need to see it.
For folks that are listening to this episode after the Kickstarter campaign ends, if they wanted to reach out to you to donate for future projects, is there a way they can do that? An email or through your social media pages, or what's the best way?
Absolutely, there will always be a way. I will make sure of it. My website, again, timonunezpasion.com, is a great way. There's email listed there. There's also agency information if you wanted to book me for some other type of project. My social media, on Instagram, you can follow me at Timo Nunez _official. And on Facebook, just type in Timo Nunez, you'll find me. And I check all of them. So that's probably the best way.
And I'll add all the links to your social media accounts in the description of this episode.
Oh, so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So, is there anything else about either the Kickstarter campaign or the current project that you're trying to get down, which is the music video, and then maybe the other songs that you've written? Anything in your current project repertoire, I like that word, that you like to talk about that I haven't
probably
asked?
The one thing that comes to mind is, as I was creating this project, I felt like there was an element missing until recently, and the element that I think was missing was, how does what I'm doing here go back to the community, or include the community, or help the community in any way? And so it felt a little selfish at first. It felt like I was just creating art for myself and my song and me. And that no one really wants to do that. So what I ended up doing for the music video that we shot last Wednesday is I had an Instagram dance challenge where I reached out to all of the dance schools in Santa Barbara, and I sent them a little clip of my song, and I told the students, film yourself dancing and choreographing to the song and put the hashtag Breathe On Me Challenge. And I'll be looking at each one of your videos, and then by the time we shoot the video on Wednesday, I will have selected my favorite participant, and I'll give them a cameo in the music video. So it was so great to see these kids, because they're so creative, they're so young, they're so talented. And it was for all ages, not kids alone. But I got so many people to do this, and I didn't really know if it was going to catch or not, if people were going to bite. But, yeah, they got really into it. And so it was so great on Wednesday night to see all of these kids show up. And at a certain point in the evening, I got on the mic and I said, raise your hand if you were involved in the Breathe On Me challenge. And you just see all these kids raising their hand in the front row. It's so cute. So what I ended up doing, because I didn't how could I not let any of those kids dance? They're all so good and they're all so excited. So I just said, if you were a participant, everyone get on stage right now. So they all got on stage. We made a little semicircle. And I just had each one come out and dance for about 20 seconds and do a little solo. And it's going to be one of the most magical parts of this video, is just seeing the different generations and the different styles. I had a belly dancer. I had 3 little hip hop kids. I had a little boy spinning a flamenco cape like a little bullfighter. I had, so many great kids with such enthusiasm. And that's what it's about. It's about bringing it full circle for me and remembering when I was that age and remembering dancing at the Courthouse Sunken Gardens on that same stage when I was that age, and remembering hearing all the cheering and knowing that my friends and family were out there watching. That's something that has shaped me into the person that I am. So it was really important for me to give back to the kids of today and to the dancers of today, or the older generation. I brought them on stage too, and I said, in the song I say, you can be who you want to be. And to me, that's one of the most powerful lines in the song. It's very simple, but there is space for everyone. So I wanted everyone on that stage, and it was awesome.
And I think it's important for everybody that's listening to this podcast. When this episode is going to air before this Kickstarter campaign is over. So for all those that are listening during that time, I think it's important to point out that anybody that donates is not really donating money just because it's a song by Timo Nunez and he wants to get his project to be created. It's more than that. It's about the inclusion of the community.
Absolutely.
So they're donating towards including the community in this project. So it's a whole community event.
It really is. And it wasn't until I understood that asking for the money felt right.
Yeah.
It kind of felt weird and stuff. And then it made sense. I was like, wait a minute, this is bigger than just you. This isn't just you. And sure enough, by seeing all those people show up, I was then feeling at peace about it, because I was like, you've, with the help of everyone here, you've put together something really special, So I really hope that it's a success, and we're just going to do our best.
I'm sure it will be a big success. Anything you touch is gold, I think.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Oscar.
Okay. So, Timo, I know one of your inspirations was Katy Perry. What can you say about that?
Absolutely. I think a lot of the community feels a special tie and closeness to Katy because she's from Santa Barbara, and because we all kind of watched her grow up, and I knew her as a kid and we were good friends. She was my first little girlfriend. So I've always been very, very proud and happy for what she's done. But more than anything, she's just been a really good example to me, even though she's younger than I am. But she's been a really good example just of a person who didn't give up and really reached for the stars. And once she made it, always stayed really aware of the community. I know that she makes the people from Santa Barbara feel really special every time she comes up and does a show. She gave back by doing that huge, incredible concert for the mudslide victims. That was amazing. I was there that night. And if I make it to a high level, she's just a very inspirational person, of someone doing it the way I want to do it. Someone who remembers where she came from and always feels, even if you don't talk to her, you feel like she's talking to you. And I think that's really cool.
Now, I like to end the every episode with my guests' biggest pet peeves. Now, I feel like we've talked about a lot of stuff, but Timo Nunez, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Pet peeve, like just anything in life.
Anything in life. It could just be one, or if you have multiple ones, also that counts.
Okay. I'm going to say like on a deep level, judgy people. Don't judge people. You don't know where they come from. You don't know what their experience is. Don't judge them. And if you are judging them, it's probably because you have something in yourself that you're judging. That's the first one. The second one, if you're in the left turn lane, please creep out forward so that the cars behind you may have a chance to turn left as well.
I love that. A traffic pet peeve, I have them too. It's like when people cut you off.
Right.
It's just not right.
No, it's not. Be safe out there. Don't text and drive.
There you go. All right, Timo, thanks so much for being on this podcast. And, I wish you the best of luck in this project and all the future projects that you've been doing and are going to work on. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Oscar. This was fun.
I really want to thank Timo Nunez for taking time out of his schedule to drive out here to the studio and record this podcast episode with me. His body of work is just extraordinary, and he's a superstar. He is also just very down-to-earth, a very, very nice guy, and I have no doubt that he's going to continue in his career just doing big, great, amazing things. If you'd like to help with his Kickstarter campaign, you have until Thursday, June 6, 2019, to donate any amount of money that you'd like. That money is going to go to finishing the music video for his single "Breathe on Me," which features local kids and other members of the community. So it's a very special video, but of course, everybody has to get paid. Everybody that's putting this project together, from the camera people to the editors, and this Kickstarter campaign, the money that's donated to that is going to go to completing that special project and even beyond. So just click on the link that I will put in the description of this podcast episode. And you can also go to any of Timo Nunez's social media pages, and you can find the Kickstarter link there as well. Again, if you like and appreciate this episode and this podcast, tell your family and your friends. Word of mouth goes a very long way, and I believe that that's the right way of getting the most ears on this podcast. You can also find this podcast everywhere where you get your podcast. Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Music Store, and more. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email hangrymexicanpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear some of your comments, some of your questions, and feature that on future episodes. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, good night and good luck.